everybody, Bonehead for the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Top 5 Friday. On a Friday, we get together and we have a look at the top 5 something, normally to do with Blood Bowl. Now, this week we're going to pick up where we left off last week, and we're going to be looking at the top 5 players to cheer against. But before we delve into that, I want to go ahead and show the top 5 that we're going to be looking at next week so that you guys can put in the comments your picks for the next top 5. And as suggested by Victor Grimdark, he says, recently discovered your show, currently working my way through all the content. How about a top 5 favoured of list? Now, Victor could have meant star players, could have meant core teams. We're going to go with core teams because actually, I'm not sure we thought about things like that. So I want to know what your top 5 favoured of teams are, and I want to know why. I want to know, is it design? Is it models? Is it skills? And it doesn't, we're not going to be looking at like the model creations. We're going to be looking at the actual teams. Like, is it Renegades? Is it Chosen? Is it Chorfs? Is it Nurgle? Is it Khorne? That. We're going to look at which are the top 5 favoured of teams. Anyway, back to today's video. The top 5 players to cheer against. So we had a good one last week, the top 5 players to cheer for, and we asked for your input in the comments, and we had some brilliant little nuggets. And I've got to say, this is probably one of the times that you guys have been the most aligned, and that makes my job very easy indeed. So onwards to the top 5. Coming in at number 5, it's not Witch Elves, but I'm using the Witch Elf to represent what this 5th place spot is. And you are cheering against any player, kind of like any blitzer or any big blocker that's got multiple skills and is just bullying a lineman or a stunty. You are basically cheering, well, you are cheering against the overdog. And a Witch Elf is a cracking example of this, because if you've got your halfling catcher and he's got the ball, somehow he's standing and you're like, yeah, and the Witch Elf just comes up, and this Witch Elf's got block and sidestep, and she's doing all the stuff, or, you know, is being attacked by a human blitzer with mighty blow, block, guard, tackle. You've got a black orc blocker, a big un blocker, you know, with the with mighty blow and guard. You're just rooting against them because you're like, come on, even this is even against linemen, kind of like the chaff lineman, like you're an ability blitzer or a zombie. If you've got a good player on your opponent's team, or if you're watching a game and you're like, oh, we've got a level 4 blitzer here and he's about to punch a lineman, kind of want to see the lineman not die. You kind of want to see the blitzer double skull because they're just so used to like winning. And they're just so consistent and powerful that you just want to see a little bit of chaos. You just want them to double skull and have their armor gone and just have them explode. This one I thought was great in the comments and kind of put together from a couple of different angles, but I don't want to put specific like blitzers, but realistically we're talking about your multiple skilled blitzers taking on muggle players. You just want to see them fail. Number 4, we've got, I'm sorry, this is not about you dwarfs, this is not about dwarf players, and we don't want all dwarves to fail. In fact, the trolls there very nearly made the list of players to cheer for, and if you joined us for the live stream game the other week, Dandelion, the trolls there on the OWA team, come on, chat was literally chanting Dandelion in chat. It was fantastic. So it's not about dwarves. What it is about is the 1-die block with block from a dwarf blocker. And do you know, I don't even mind it so much if it's a 1-die block from a human blitzer, you know, with block, or anybody like that. It is the 1-die block from a dwarf blocker that just always works. And I tell you what, that is something that I don't think I will ever be able to stop myself cheering against. If there is a dwarf making a 1-die block, if there is a dwarf blocker making a 1-die block, I want to see that skull. I want to see that skull. I just, the smugness, the auto block of like, no, just take a 1-die block here, kill you, take a 1-die block here, kill you. I just want to see them fail. I just want to see them fail. And I know that this is going to be the most divisive entry on this entire list, because there are some of you out there that are going to be staunch dwarf allies, and I'm not saying that I want to see the Blitzer take a 1-die block and fail. I definitely want to see the Trollslayer make 1-die blocks and succeed, but the dwarf blocker, it's just the auto win button, and it's just so egregious. So for me, number 4, it is the 1-die block with block from the dwarf blocker. Number 3, it's the Skaven Gutter Runner, and this was a close position with number 2, and I feel a bit troubled bringing up the Skaven Gutter Runner, because generally speaking, I am so pro Skaven that if I'm ever watching a game that has a Skaven, I'm like, yes, come on Gutter Runner, do some stuff, come on, do that stuff. The Gutter Runner for me is the pinnacle of the player that just makes nonsense rolls and gets away with it far too often. I am a fan because I like Skaven, but judging from the comments in the video last week, yeah, I think the Gutter Runner deserves to be on this list. I couldn't quite put it at 2, and we'll talk about why in a second, but there are, I imagine, very many people out there that just want to see Gutter Runners fail. And it's not just about, oh, you know, they failed. It's about the fact that when a Gutter Runner fails, generally speaking, it does change the shift of a game. The Gutter Runner is so pinnacle to the Skaven operation and the Underworld operation for the most part, and it only normally is going to be a failure on a 1 into a 1, and that is such a like deciding moment in a game. The Skaven Gutter Runner, yeah, cool, we're going to take a dodge. The arrogance there, and I know it because that's how I play it. I'm like, yeah. 1, yeah, it'll be fine. Move this Gutter Runner here, move this Gutter Runner here, move this Gutter Runner here. If you're playing against Skaven, there's only so much you can take before you kind of want them to fail and take that 1 into a 1, because it's going to be them either taking a free dodge that is just showing off, or they're going to be making a breakout. They're going to be going for the ball. They're going to be making a block. And generally speaking, like I said, that's going to be like a point at which the game revolves around. If a Gutter Runner 1-1s or whatever, you know, fails a 2+ pickup or something, it's going to be a turnover, and it's going to be a big shift, because it's going to mean the ball is uncovered, or a Gutter Runner is on the floor ready to get a very good kick in, or the Gutter Runner just explodes because they're only armor 8+. So I get it. I don't agree with it, but I put it on the list anyway, because apparently people like to cheer against Gutter Runners. But at number 2 is the player that everyone hates even more than Gutter Runners, and it is War Dancers. So yes, Gutter Runners are amazing, Ag 2+, movement 9, but they're only strength 2. The War Dancer here, yes, sure, only movement 8, but they're strength 3. And they already got block, and they've already got dodge, and they've already got leap, which I'll admit is not as good as it used to be, but it's still just like a 3 or 4+ into basically anywhere forever for good. The War Dancer is the pinnacle of player in Blood Bowl, because they start off so good. So we've looked through this list, and at the bottom you've got that the Overdog situation. You really want the Overdog to fail sometimes. That's why people hated Tom Brady's teams just forever until he went and joined the Bucks. It's just because you were like, oh, these guys are good. They're just always good. It's just really boring that they're always good. May I introduce you to that player on a Blood Bowl pitch? Movement 8, strength 3 with blodge. Ag 2+ as well. They are very good. And sometimes it's fun to watch people who are very good just fail, because it's kind of unlikely, and it is kind of like you are hoping for chaos a little bit. You're hoping for the unlikely to happen, because often when the unlikely meets the Blood Bowl pitch, that's when the really good stories happen. If the unlikely thing happens in a war game, that's when the really good stories happen. Like, you know, when you're playing Warhammer, you're like, cool, I just made 4 6+ saves and now my unit is still there. You're like, yay, that unit's great. The War Dancer is the opposite of that. It's got the 2+ save forever, and sometimes it's fun to watch them roll all 1s and just explode into a mess of blood and fancy hair. So I don't think anyone's going to be surprised by the inclusion of this player on the list, and I think it's fair to put him at number 2. So yeah, number 2, cheer against the War Dancers. Number one, in the interest of variation in this video, I have compiled all of these villains of the Blood Bowl pitch into a single spot. It is the egregious star players. You know who I'm talking about. It is Griff, it is Morg, it is obviously Hackflem. It is those players that warp the game to a point that is just unfair, and you want them to fail. If your opponent is running Griff, if anybody in 4 or 5 miles of you is running Hackflem, you want them to fail. Not them as a person, you want them to flourish and be well and live well, but you want them to fail with that specific piece on the Blood Bowl pitch. And it is just, I think it summons up the unlikeliness. I think it's just like, and Hackflem is just 1+ on everything forever. Brilliant. You want to see him roll those ones. You want to see them fail that double dodge. You want to see Morg triple skull and block and just like, what? You want to see Griff just fail some dice rolls, fail a block against a Snotling and just die. It's just, you are cheering against them. It's really difficult because these star players can form such a big part of the team. Their skill sets are interesting, they're powerful, they're a lot of your team value, and they're really popular. People love Morg, people love Griff, I love Hackflem, I love Skitter too. Skitter's like the hipster version of Hackflem, but like, you want, like, it's going to be this 80-20 divide where if you're running the star, you want to see the star just be awesome, because this is something special right now. Griff is going to do special things, and he probably is, and that's why the other 80% of us are watching it going, yeah, he's running Griff. Wouldn't it be terrible if Griff just double wand there, or took a double skull, or just oh it's okay, I've got loner, and you're like, oh, didn't make the loner roll and now he's dead. It's just, there's something special about watching these peons just fail. And this was like, I think the most comments we got were about star players. It was like, I want to see Griff and Hackflem. I just want to see them fail. I am rooting against them. If they're on a pitch, if they're playing the game next to me, I'm like, ooh, and they're like, right, yeah, Hackflem's going to take a dodge. It's just kind of like, come on, one, and he's going to pick up the ball, one, and it's just that little bit of like a. It's just, I think it is because it is unlikely, because it is kind of like very much like we've seen in this entire list. It's players that are unlikely to fail. And there's something about them. There's something about the fact that they are unlikely to fail that makes you want to see what the other side looks like. You're like, I know, like 25 times out of 36, this is just going to be fine. If it's 35 times out of 36, this is going to be just fine. But wouldn't it be fun if it didn't work? And I love that, and I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I couldn't agree more. Although it is so fun to watch these guys, it is that epic story of I had Griff and he did a load of cool Griff things and then he failed. And then everything balanced out, and it's just very, very exciting. And that is why I believe the top one player to cheer against is that powerful star player. And I think that's really fair. So that wraps up our list for today. Do not forget to put your top 5 favourite of teams in the comments below. Nurgle, Khorne, Chaos Renegades, Chaos Chosen, Chaos Dwarves. Let me know which teams are your preference and why, whether it's theme, whether it's models, whether it's the way they play out on the table. This is going to be a good crunchy one. I know what my favourite team is. I don't know how high it's going to get up on the rankings. We will see, because I build these lists based mostly on your comments, and then I'm the rounding factor there to kind of curate it. Otherwise, I would just, yeah, it's more fair that way, and it's better that way. But for now, we're going to wrap up. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel even further, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. Or come join us on YouTube Members or in Patreon, where you can get exclusive access to some content, some loot, early access to basically everything we do, as well as regular competitions. Or you can pick up some Bonehead Podcast loot either on our website at boneheadpodcast.com. We've got the Dungeon Bowl things, we've got tokens and stuff like that, or on our Spreadshirt site as well. Everything you do just helps us make more content and hopefully do it of better quality. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Happy blocking.